I've got lightning!
Lightning. How boring. This stuff is way cooler.
Ladies, gentlemen, and tarnished of all ages, there is a specific type of damage I absolutely love the concept of in Elden Ring. Ice lightning. Visually, it is blue crackling lightning. Mechanically, it's lightning damage that applies frostbite debuff buildup. And that is particularly cool because obviously lightning damage itself can be buffed by a number of things that ice damage normally cannot. And frostbite is a fantastic status to apply to things no matter what. Being able to work it into a faith build is even cooler as well. When it activates, popping off 10% of your enemy's health as well as making them more vulnerable to damage for the duration. But just how good can you make ice lightning specifically? Well, the answer is right before your eyes. And just to prove the point, the other way that you can build for ice lightning is around the ice lightning katana, which also deals loads of damage when you focus around it. Unfortunately though, as that weapon scales with dexterity and the incantation scales with faith, you sort of have to choose one as your main path to victory through the game to focus your build upon, though you can use them together as they do somewhat complement each other as melee and ranged options. Personally, I find the most success going with the Ice Lightning Spear incantation. This incantation actually got buffed in patch 1.04, decreasing the stamina cost, increasing the cast speed, and decreasing recovery time. And the big one, adding a ton of bonus poise during the windup of the attack. In some situations, this can obviously kill you, but in others, it will just make you overpower the obstacle in your face and decimate it. It doesn't make you completely immune to being knocked out of it, but it does give you a ton of room for trading in combat that this incantation never had before. The actual damage of this then is really quite good. Obviously, I've got all of the talismans worked out to boost it, essentially just the things that boost lightning and incantation damage, but then I'm also taking advantage of a neat trick that you may or may not know about that works for a lot of things. I worked it out myself yesterday, only to realize that other people have been talking about it for weeks. But seppuku, we all know this skill. Bleed users use it to make their weapons deal loads of bleed damage super quick. But when you use this skill, it counts as triggering a bleed on yourself, which will activate both the White Mask Helmet and Bloodlord's Exaltation Talisman, giving you a 10% and 20% bonus respectively for 20 seconds after you inflict a bleed. This is all of your damage that is boosted, not just the damage with those weapons, all of it. And so you can actually just carry a seppuku wielding weapon in any build, whack on the helmet and the single talisman, and then bam, massive 20-second damage boost for whatever you are doing. Anyways, doing this, we can then switch off to a second Gravelstone Seal, each of these boosting Dragon Cult incantations by 15%. We've got our lightning damage boosting Wondrous Physic Flask and Full Faith, along with the buffs that go with that, being Golden Vow as well as Flame Grant Me Strength. You may be asking, why Flame Grant Me Strength? Ice Lightning Spear doesn't do fire or physical damage. Well, actually, weirdly, Ice Lightning Spear does do physical damage, and specifically the melee component, as it is boosted by Flame Grant Me Strength. But we also have another major source of physical damage too. The thing that makes this able to be used as an entire fun playstyle is that you have a full melee build baked into this as well. The Seppuku Katana is there to boost your spell damage, yes, but also it's there to power stance alongside the Dragonscale Blade, the Ice Lightning Katana, allowing you to buff both weapons simultaneously and then slice through enemies with ice lightning and blood trails following behind you, looking like the most confused Star Wars character who ever lived. And I sort of really love the visuals of the whole thing. Obviously, the damage of the weapons is limited by your dexterity, and as I mentioned earlier, there are thus two ways of building this. Either get to 34 faith, the minimum to use the incantation, then pump up dexterity towards 80 to get the most out of the sword specifically, or do somewhat of the opposite, going to around 30 dexterity for the swords to do really good damage still, like seriously, they still do good damage, and then 80 faith to make the lightning spear the star of the show. Of course, obviously, as you get to higher and higher levels, doing new game Game Pluses and the like, you can get both of these stats up to 80 without any issue. Even doing the halfway method though, you can comfortably achieve this sort of stat spread upwards of level 130, and you can get even destroying random enemies along the way with it. And honestly, it isn't particularly FP efficient to use the Ice Lightning Spear to destroy things in levels, but that is why we have the two katanas as well, so you can just sort of swap out to those and slap things without any cost to yourself. Past this, in PvP, the incantation is incredible now. Obviously, you can't take a colossal weapon hit during the windup, but you can definitely trade with smaller weapons, and the damage that you deal is great, considering both the initial melee slam and then also the follow-up ground pops if they'd fail to dodge correctly, sometimes winding up in a proper one-shot scenario. The Ice Lightning weapon skill is also great now. For an example of the stagger, here are some pretty big boys in the sewers, but the devs changed this weapon skill in patch 1.04 and gave a hitbox to the stomp at the start of it. The direct result is that there is a really big stagger pop on anything that doesn't have high poise. If you time this right, you can make things look silly, and it really is quite the improvement from how it was previously. Overall, with all of this going, what I want you to keep in mind is that this build, the way that I am showing you, really is just to show off Ice Lightning as a whole build concept if you want to focus it. But in reality, if you just want to be efficient, you should try and work this into your build in some sort of way that otherwise would be statted correctly for it. Think about it. How often can Faith or Dex users find a way to consistently apply Frostbite? The debuff is great, and the answer that you want for how to apply it with those stats is this weapon and this incantation, which you can use to boost all of your other things that you're already using because Frostbite is just great, especially if you're already using a lightning build in general too. Finally then, you want to know how to put all this together yourself, how to achieve the specific numbers that we're getting here with Ice Lightning? Well, here's what we're using. 2 Gravelstone Seals. You get this yourself in Lanedell, the capital city. From the West Capital Rampart site of Grace, head back towards the dragon and jump off of the balcony on your left to get down to the ground level. Keep heading this way to see 2 knights. Kill the one with the spear and he'll drop this upon defeat. To get a second one, like I'm using in the footage, you'll have to either get to the same enemy in New Game Plus or find a friend that's willing to drop theirs for you. The Dragonscale Blade with the Ice Lightning Sword skill is dropped by the Dragonkin soldier boss in the southeast of the Lake of Rot. The Uchigatana weapon is found in the Death-Touched Catacombs in Limgrave. We have it set to Keen so that it scales with our dexterity to match the other katana, and then the Ash of War is Seppuku, which comes from an invisible scarab in the mountaintop of the Giants, just east of the Freezing Lake site of Grace. After that, you want the White Mask Helmet to boost your damage after inflicting a bleed, which is found in the Mogwin Palace area in the big lake of blood that you can see from the Palace Approach Ledge Road site of Grace. And when you get there, you will be invaded multiple times, the invasion closest to the back dropping the full armor set. The Bloodlord's Exaltation Talisman, also boosting damage after a bleed, comes from the boss of the Lanedell Catacombs dungeon in the sewers under the city. The Phlox Canvas Talisman comes from finishing the Millicent questline either way that you do it, or if you just kill her early. Then after this, head to Gary's shack on the map, and then kill him there and he will drop this talisman for you, boosting incantation damage by 8%. If you want, you can use this alongside the Faithful Canvas Talisman for another 4% damage boost to incantations, this one located in the Xelia Crystal Tunnel. If you're using the sword version of this build instead of the incantation-focused one, I would recommend instead of the Faithful Canvas Talisman, the smaller version, to use the Shard of Alexander, raising all weapon skill damage by 15%. This is found at the end of the Alexander questline, the 3 main steps of this being in the desert after killing Starscourge Radahn, in the magma pools by the Seethwater Terminus site of Grace and Mount Gelmir, and then finally in Crumbling Farum Azula by the Dragon Temple Lift site of Grace, where you fight him in exchange for a bit of his bits. No matter which version of this that you use though, you should still use the Lightning Scorpion Charm Talisman, which raises your lightning damage by 12% in exchange for lowering your damage negation a little bit. This is found behind the Imp statue sealed door in the Windham Catacombs in the Eltis Plateau. On top of this, I highly recommend using the Lightning Shrouding Cracked Tear in your Wondrous Physic Flask for a 20% lightning damage boost for 3 minutes after drinking, and this can be acquired at the Minor Air Tree in Eastern Liurnia from the boss there. The incantations used in this build are, well, the most notable one is of course Ice Lightning Spear. This one comes from another Dragonkin soldier, this one quite out of the way actually in Ainsel River. From the Ainsel River downstream site of Grace, head west and then north until you eventually find a massive throne. Get close enough and a boss will spawn. Wipe it from existence and claim its bounty, the Ice Lightning Spear incantation. The Golden Vow incantation we use is a 15% general damage damage buff that lasts for 80 seconds. This is located on a body in the Corpse Stench Shack on the eastern side of Mount Gelmir. And then finally, the Flame Grant Me Strength incantation, which boosts both physical and fire damage by 20% for 30 seconds, is found behind Fort Gale in Western Caelid, outside of the fort itself. I did mention a general concept for attributes earlier, but here is the more specific spread that I've been using for most of the footage in this video. You still get quite a bit of vigor, as much dex as you are comfortable being able to squeeze in here, and then pump up that faith if you really want the incantation to sing. And that just about covers it, everyone. The Ice Lightning Spear incantation and the Dragonscale Blade, two of the only 3 ways to apply ice lightning damage in Elden Ring. The Dragon Halberd does also exist, but it just isn't as cool, sorry. This is how you maximize these things, and a little PSA of, hey, if you are already a Faith or Dex build, especially a lightning build, you can apply Frostbite using these, so you know, that's pretty cool. I hope some of you start using these more, as I think both of them are actually quite cool. Like if you like the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.